Hello! So, first up we have the miscommunication trope. This is a very unpopular trope, and for good reason. The miscommunication trope is when somebody just simply miscommunicates or doesn't communicate properly, and then it leads to a conflict that moves the story along. A lot of people, including me, don't like this trope because it feels lazy and it feels like it can be easily avoided. The main thing that makes it bad is that most of them are very lazy. I've read stories where it's not written lazily, and it is actually a lot better, but it's still easily avoidable, and it makes it very frustrating to read. And as a reader, it makes me feel like I don't even want to finish the story. The lazy part, though, makes me feel like it's just thrown in there to add conflict and make the story longer. But the real problem is for when they stretch it on for more than a few chapters. There's a story I'm reading that I'm considering not even finishing because there are multiple chapters where it just stretches on and on and on, and the conflict just won't get resolved simply because they just want it to last longer. And I don't understand why. Just finish up the story already. We just want to get to the good stuff. By dragging on the story and adding in extra stuff where you don't need to, you're just boring your readers to death. Though I might be slightly biased because I have the attention span of a goldfish, so if it's not immediately interesting to me, I will drop it. That's actually one of the struggles I have as a writer. I move along really fast, and I have to try and slow down and add some sentences here and there so that it doesn't feel rushed. But there are obviously exceptions where this trope can be used for good. I personally like it when there's a little bit of miscommunication, like it's subtle but there's still other conflicts moving the plot along. I don't mind it when miscommunication is a subplot, but when it's the only thing driving the plot forward, it gets a little boring and make it seem very lazy. The next trope we have is less of a trope, but it's being weird about scars. So, if you know anything about real life, you know that having a scar is nothing to worry about. Obviously, if it's a little bit more visible or violent, then it's obviously going to attract some weird looks from some disrespectful people. But for the most part, you're going to be respected by people because people see other people as normal human beings. I understand being embarrassed about like a facial scar or something like that, which is what my character does, but simply having a scar and being like bullied for it or being treated differently because of it, obviously that's going to happen sometimes, but being massively bullied because of it probably isn't going to happen because, people are still people, and there are obviously going to be some people who can recognize the right and wrong of some certain situations. You have to remember that not every character is going to hate your character, so if you want your character to be someone who's massively hated, you have to at least make them hateable. Like, if you're going for a shy kid who gets bullied all the time, make him a little bit of a rebellious type guy who has a sharp tongue and he, can't control his thoughts very well, something like that. Don't make him have a scar and then blame all of his problems on that. And next up we got excessively embarrassing characters. This is one that I don't see people talking about a lot, but it really bothers me when people are like, oh, this character's awkward, so let's embarrass him in as many ways as physically possible. Like, there has to be a balance between embarrassing your character and letting him have dignity, because otherwise your characters are not going to seem real. If your characters don't have any dignity left, then they're not going to just, show up like it's a normal day. They're going to be ashamed and they're going to curl up in a ball and die. They're not just going to continue on living their life. One of the best examples, I think, of an awkward character who doesn't get overly embarrassed is your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man's Peter Parker. Specifically in the scene where we meet Pearl, where he runs into her and then stutters and stumbles. Because I think it is just so perfect because he's embarrassed, and I think him being embarrassed is really what we needed in that moment, because most of the time when awkward characters do something stupid, it's just the audience that's embarrassed, when in reality the character would also be incredibly embarrassed too. On the opposite end of this, when you're excessively embarrassing your characters, you're just dropping a whole bunch of embarrassment on us for absolutely no reason. I have severe secondhand embarrassment, and this just makes me cringe all the time, and it makes me just want to not finish reading or watching whatever I'm currently consuming. It's not fun for me or anybody, really. It's kind of like over-traumatizing your characters, but instead of over-traumatizing, you're just over-embarrassing. The whole thing with this trope is you need to make your characters more realistic. If your characters are going to get embarrassed all the time, at least make it show. Make it show in their personality. Make them more ashamed to go out in public. Make them more shy. Make them more reluctant to open up. Just like show signs that they've been embarrassed excessively. Don't just embarrass them excessively and then reset like a cartoon. Next up on the tropes, we have over-traumatizing your characters. Don't get me wrong, I love reading about how everything in your life goes to crap. I love reading about how everything in this character's life goes horribly wrong. I love stories like that. But you can't make everything trauma. I'm going to give you an example. Let's say their parents die, okay? And then their siblings die, okay? And then they find out that they aren't human, okay? And then they find out, oh my gosh, the world is ending. That's excessive trauma. It's too many things, one after the other, just set there to be these shock value. They're not actually contributing to the story, they're just there for shock value, and they're just there to kind of move the story along and just make the story a bit more interesting. Now, an example of a non-traumatizing event. Say your girlfriend breaks up with you. That's bad, but it's not traumatizing. You can make bad things happen without them affecting the character for life. Temporary pain doesn't mean it's less real, it just means that it's temporary and it isn't around for as long. Something as simple as a bad day can make you empathize with the character more. Or you can make it as simple as traumatizing the character but in a more subtle way, like a friend simply betraying their trust, or a parental figure who disregards the boundaries that they've set. Just something more subtle than everyone dying around them. Next we have the everybody is special trope. I'm gonna give a quick example. So let's just say that fire powers are the most rare thing in the universe, okay? So nobody has fire powers, like only 2 people, like out of the 7 billion people on the earth have fire powers, right? And then all of the supporting characters and all of the main characters, which are like 7 people, have fire powers. That's what this trope is, and I think it's very annoying because it takes away from the speciality if everybody has it. It's like, if everyone has it, then nobody's special. Like, you can't be saying how rare and special this power is and then proceed to give it to every single one of your main characters. There's a difference if they had to search out and find each other, but still, even then they should vary in age, and they shouldn't be similar at all since they all supposedly are just scattered across the world. I think that by making every single one of your main characters special, you're making none of them special. If none of your characters are unique in their own way, then nobody is going to want to read your story because it's just simply not unique, it's not interesting, it's all the same copy-pasted character over and over and over again. No one wants to see the same thing that they've already seen over and over and over again. Except for me, who rewatches shows over and over and over again because I get hyperfixated on stuff and then I can't let it go until my brain finds a new hyperfixation. Anyway, I'm not hating on any of these tropes too hard. This video is mostly just for fun. I hope you enjoyed, and goodbye! Remember, my commissions are open in my Linktree if you're interested.